Welcome to the Model Car Hobby Podcast with your host, Luka C. Now here he is, Luka C. Well, hello, my fellow car modelers. How are you doing today? Welcome to another episode of the Model Car Hobby Podcast. And I have a guest here today you may or may not recognize, depends on what part of the country you are and what shows you go to. He's brand new into the YouTube world, and I just wanted to bring him on because I think you guys are really going to like his style and his YouTube channel. And this is Irvin Arter Jr., and he has a channel called the Arterake. And I'll let him tell that story, where that comes from. But Irvin, I'm really glad to have you on. Thank you very much for coming. I bumped into your channel and I was really super impressed. Everybody, his first video, like in a couple days, had 2,700 views, and it was a very good thumbnail to grab the attention. It was a good subject to start your whole channel off of. Man, I watched it and really enjoyed it, and I immediately found I knew a lot of people that knew of you, and I thought, heck, man, just come on the show. So Irvin, here's my channel. Everybody hears me talk. I'm going to hand it over to you. And why don't you tell us all your story, like what got you into model cars, what you're into, what you're known for, what part of the country you're well known for, club, everything, all the way to what got you into YouTube.
I grew up, my father had a body shop. He was always into cars. So I grew up painting. I've been painting since like I was 6 years old. So I've been painting a long time around cars. My brother has bought the body shop that my father has. So he continues to be around all that. And my Arterake name actually started as a joke. I was in the Maryland Automotive Modelers Association, which is the Mama's Boys. And I think I joined in the late 80s, I think. I have to double check that. But so my cars, they have a certain look that everybody can kind of pick out my cars after a while. They just know they're mine. So they started teasing me, and they called it the Arterake. So it just started as a joke, and it kind of stuck. And then we just, over the years, have always used that name. It wasn't until I decided to go onto YouTube that we decided to take that name and run with it. I didn't realize how much people knew my name. Apparently, I think a lot of people know of me, but face to face maybe haven't met me. So I'm kind of shy and quiet at some of the shows. So unless I know you, I probably wouldn't just walk up to you. But I have been getting better at that. So hopefully I'll get better at that in the near future. So a lot of this is new to me, but I belong to the York Club for a while, and then we moved out of the area, and so I wasn't doing much as far as shows or model clubs and stuff. But I mean, I started when I was young, and I used to go to the store, and if I couldn't afford one of the fancy kits, I'd always come home with one of those cheap Palmer kits, and just glued them together, blew them up. Did all kinds of things that we did, and whatever I didn't destroy, I had two younger brothers. They pretty much destroyed it after me. So that's kind of where that all came from. And then when I wanted to start, I've been thinking about I only got into YouTubing like maybe a year or two ago, and I started watching your channel and some of the other ones, and I really didn't know what that was about. I decided I wanted to try to do it, and I have a friend of mine. We're going to call him Manny. He's my producer. He takes my vision and some of my stuff and just kind of rolls it together and makes something nice out of it. But I was in printing for 30 years, so I have a graphic arts background. So,
okay.
So a lot of that comes from a combination of cars and graphic arts. So that's kind of where my blend is as far as what my trades were at the time. I think a lot of that has, adds to that too. So I just came up with a logo and a name and kind of ran with it. In between, I'm going to have like one decent edited film a week, and then I'm going to have a bunch of just raw me making mistakes like everybody else.
No, that's great.
and a couple how I got a bunch of how-tos, some really simple. I'm a simple guy. I don't like complicated things. So a lot of my methods are very simple. I look at little details and stuff. I'm more of an NNL photography builder. Like, to me, if I take a picture of it and it looks real to me, that's where I get my satisfaction. I don't have to have 1,000 wires or everything opening up. But I mean, that's fine if that's what you're into. I'm not mechanical in that area. So I'm more of a visual. I call myself a visual builder, more of looking at shadows and stuff like that. So that's, and I keep it simple. And now I do add wires, and I do some other things, and I do some scratch building too. But I find that less is more. I like to add, like, I like photo etch and I like 3D printing and I like resin, but I don't tend to add all that. I'll just add a little bit of everything. Like, I might have some 3D printed parts, but maybe not a ton of them. Or I might use the photo etch and only have a couple pieces of the photo etch. So I think less is more for me, for my style of building.
Oh man, I definitely have to agree with you on a lot of that. I think that's what caught my eye. I mean, I recognized your name. That's why when we first started talking, I wondered if I had seen your stuff in Scale Auto Enthusiast or something like that, because you rang a bell. Like, I just, like, the name was familiar, the visual, like, especially of that red Chevelle in your first thumbnail, it just seemed familiar to me. And we got to talking and find out that, well, actually, how I contacted Lewis Hicks, who I had on the show. It was the last show, the last podcast that I did with Lewis, and oh yeah, Irvin, that's Irvin, yeah. Or he just called you Irv. And he was like, oh yeah, we were in the Mamas Club together and all that stuff. And then, we passed a few texts across, and it's like, you come from the exact same era I did. You got kind of involved in the late 80s, same time I did. And you probably went through a lot and dealt with a lot of the same stuff.
I'm a lot older than that. I was in the 60s and 70s.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking, you were saying that you, like, joined the clubs, got real serious about the hobby.
Yeah, back into it in the late 80s, yeah.
I didn't build a lot as a kid, but I had an interest in models, and I've told my story a million times. But it was like the late 80s, and then I found my first club and discovered Scale Auto Enthusiast and all that. And it seems like, we kind of followed that same line on through the 90s and stuff. And, but I don't know, there was a familiarity to your builds that really interest me. And like you said, you keep it simple, but boy, they're eye-catching, like that Chevelle. It doesn't need to have all this. You got, like, what you go for, what you're known for, that rake. And that was a great way to start your channel, because that's what you're about. It's that visual and then that rake that you're known for. And I love, you put the lines and everything on the picture. That was real good. I'm glad to see, another YouTuber. I always like it when another YouTuber comes on and then definitely hits it all the ballpark. You seem to be catching a lot of attention. People are liking your stuff, and it's useful.
I had a lot of help. I'm shocked how supportive the YouTube community, in the modeling YouTube community,
Yes.
How helpful they've been. I'm in the same area as Mark Batson. He answered a lot of questions for me and took some time, because I'm new at this part. So
yeah,
confusing, and I'm a slow learner anyway. So, I got to do it like 10 times or 20 times, and then I'll still forget about it. But I mean, I have to really work at it to understand it and do it. But he's really helped a lot, answered a ton of questions.
Yeah.
Kelly Coons, he helped a lot and gave me a lot of suggestions, and they've been supportive and helping me and get me off the ground. And I just I was dragging my feet, and then I just figured, we're jumping in, and we'll just shoot from the hip.
You just got to go for it.
I mean, I've been building a long time. I've been to a lot of shows. I know people know of me. I just didn't realize how many people knew of me.
Yeah.
Like, I know how well known I was. I mean, like guys like Mark Batson. I mean, I'm intimidated by these guys, because these guys are like, awesome builders, and Randy Durr and these guys, you know, it's a little intimidating sometimes to talk to them because you feel like, you know, I don't know if they want to take time to talk to me, but my first big show was going up to Toledo, up to NNL up in Toledo.
Oh, really?
That's where I met all the Ohio guys. I met Randy Durr, and we used to go.
Yeah.
That's when Randy still had, they still did the thing at his house the night before, put your models on his pool table. I don't know if you ever that.
No.
Big deal, man. I went to Randy's house and put a car on his pool table. That was like, you know, it was like the ultimate. And that shows back when they had the, you know, the big toy show there, the swap meets, and, you know, 2 huge buildings of cars. Mm-hmm. Bill Coulter and, you know, all those guys. I actually met Tim Klankowitz up there for the first time when he built the coral. That coral was a coral reef that, that was a, and then
61,
blowing people away, and he was young. And I met a bunch of guys up there from Ohio. That was my first like real show that I went to. When I was in the Mama's Boys, Dave Toops, one of the Mama's Boys, he used to go to a lot of the shows, and I didn't go to any shows. And he would take I built a black Corvette, and he took it all over the place one year. He took it everywhere. And he took it to NNL in Toledo, and that was the year that the theme was Corvettes. And I actually won the theme that year up there with that black Corvette. And so that car, my models do better when someone else takes them and I'm not there. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. He took that car all over the place, and it won a lot of like best paint awards. And I'm not one for bragging about, you know, what I've done or haven't done.
No.
But Dave did really well with that car. And I think people thought that Dave was me because he was taking that car everywhere, and he's taken my cars. He took my Cadillac. I had the 2000, I think it was 2009, the model car calendar.
Mm-hmm.
That purple Cadillac on the cover.
Yeah,
that's mine.
Oh, really?
That's my connection to Doug Wythe. Doug photographed that at that show, and that's when I first met Doug. In fact, I don't know if you watched, if anybody wants to watch one of the videos I just made, Doug and I did a trade at this year's NNL East of, he built a Corvette for me that he built last year.
Oh, wow.
His channel. And then we swapped, I gave him my Cadillac and he gave me a Corvette. So I have one of Doug's cars. I collect a lot of other people's model art. I do trades all the time with people. I have one of Larry Booth's cars. I have his first Salt Lake winner that he won out Salt Lake.
Really?
Yeah, it's a 40 Ford. And I'm going to be showing a lot of these cars on my channel. I've done quite a few trades with guys. Some guys don't like to do that, but I do. I don't. Now, again, if I'm trading with somebody like Doug or somebody else,
right?
Like, I don't want them giving me something high end that they've spent like, you know, a year on, and I'm building something in 2 weeks or something. You know what I mean? I want something of equal trade. So if they got something that's either old and it doesn't have a sentimental value to them like it used to, or something that we can, you know, something equal. I don't want to get something that, you know, someone feels cheated out of. But if it's something kind of equal, then I'll do a trade. I do a lot of trades. I mean,
wow, that's neat.
Wow, it's like, you know, why not let someone else enjoy them? So I like doing that. I have quite a collection of other people's work.
That's neat.
It's just fun for me. I do a lot of trades, and I do a lot of kind of, I wouldn't say buddy builds, but I might build something or build partial something and hand it off. Or I'm doing something with Kelly Coons right now where I did something for him. That'll be on my channel too. I like doing stuff like that. I'm a builder. I like to build. I build a lot. I'm a collecting problem is what I am. You know, I have a lot of unbuilt kits, but you know, my goal is to build them all. I don't care if in the end, if I'm just gluing them together with no paint, or as long as I can glue them together or whatever, my intention is to ruin them all before I leave. You know, you know, when anybody gets my collection, they're going to know that all the parts are off the trees, and I'm going to try to glue them all together till I'm done. So my goal was to build them all. But I'm a builder. I like to build.
Yeah.
That's whether they're quick or not, or, you know, I have some that are quick and I have some that are, you know, longer term and have more detail in them. I don't get to, I'm not at that. I'm like a middle tier guy. I'm not like those top tier guys that are, you know, building some of the credible stuff that they do. But, you know, I'm in the middle somewhere. But
Yeah. I always say that about myself, but it's kind of funny how, you know, that's what we say about ourselves. It always really makes you step back when the builders that you admire and respect, and we've become friends, when they say they like what you do, it's like, wow, man, I just think I'm just kind of like, you know, mediocre builder. But when you got those guys saying your stuff's nice,
yeah,
you have what Doug White, Randy Durr, a lot of those guys, but Lewis Hicks, he's mind blowing, his models. For me, and I think you and I kind of look at it the same way, is I will once in a while try to take on a build like that. But all in all, most of the time when I'm making a build, I'm kind of like, I'm like you. I'm like, it's the visual
yeah,
and kind of keeping it simple. Try not to go too crazy. And then I think, well, this is just my model and stuff. And then when everybody goes, wow, that thing is really nice, it's like, I didn't, you know, okay. If what you do, it really doesn't matter how far you go with it. But if you do something that's impressive to people and inspiring, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, something that every panel comes off and every nut and bolt is there and every, you know, the carburetor looks like every piece of the carburetor, or just a simple, nice, out of the box plus build, like we like to call them. Like sometimes, you know, you just do all your detailing and stuff to the kit that you get all the way down to that. If it's done nice and clean and you do something that just catches people's eyes and impresses them and inspires them, it's like, I keep going back to your red Chevelle. Your red Chevelle had this look, the rake, the wheels you got on that thing, and the tires, which is like my favorite combination on a muscle car. You know, there's nothing like, you know, white letter tires, big fat ones, you know. That's where something on, you know, on your thumbnail, you're going ahead and that catches everybody's eye. They're definitely going to click on it. So it doesn't have to be this, whoa, all the time. Although, you know, those are great. And that's where there's a lot of room for all the different levels of builders. If you can make a good video that entertains and inspires and maybe teach a thing or two, I mean, that's what makes a great YouTube channel. So, I mean, that you just gotta, I mean, it doesn't seem like you got to work at it. If you were to compare my first video to your first video,
yeah, that's because I got Manny.
I got Manny.
I have a helper who helps me put them together. So my YouTube channel is going to have, like, once a week I'm going to have a quality video that Manny is going to help me on. I've already started doing some how-tos and some other.
Good.
They're going to be kind of raw, just me on the camera with either little or no editing at all. They're just going to be smaller clips of simple things to enhance model cars that
that's great.
That really show, maybe not at a show as much, but for photographs. You know, my goal when I go to a show, I never go to win anything. My goal is to get a picture taken. If I get a picture taken and it gets in a magazine, that I like that. That's big. But I always critique the picture of what my model looks like on a photograph, because I think that's important. I think looking at the shadows and you know, some of these cars that are over the top and have, you know, all this paint and stuff on them, they tend to look, some of them get like a toyish look to them. They're all lacquered up or urethaned up, and the all the door edges and stuff are really round on them and stuff like that. And to me, it doesn't look real. And that's probably because I was a body shop guy. So Hicks and I, we talk the same language. Since we, you know, are painters and are kind of around that. So, well, he's on it. He does it all the time.
Yeah, he does.
But I've done it for a long time. I mean, I was spraying urethane before a lot of guys were spraying. Now I'm kind of like tired of it. I've been getting away from it.
Yeah, me too. Because I used to work in body shops. I worked at a custom paint shop and worked under. I was the prepper for a guy who was an amazing modeler and amazing painter. Been on the cover of his work had been on the cover of Popular or Street Rodder magazine and stuff like that. And so I was doing back in the O's is when I was really doing a lot of urethane. I'm kind of like, I like the finish I get out of a rattle can of Mr. Hobby, the UV cut. Is kind of starting to become my favorite. I not that I would never do urethane ever again, but sometimes keeping it simple. I mean, it's like Jim Drew, man. That's all he uses, and his stuff could be in museums.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I like urethane just like the next guy.
Oh yeah,
but it's used to be you'd go to a model show and there'd be maybe 5-10 guys that could paint. Now. Yeah. Model show and there's 5 or 10 guys that can't, like everybody else. Like paint that's it's like look like you dipped them in a can. They're beautiful. So but like I just finished a Coronet, that 68 Coronet, and I did a metallic on it, lacquer, and I just rubbed it out. I didn't put any clear on it at all because that's the way those cars came. They didn't come. It's shiny, but it's not shiny. It's a factory finish. I do a lot of flats. I do weathered. I've been getting into the weathered stuff. I'm fast.
That can get fun.
I was always intimidated by that, but I've been getting more into the chalks and the weathering and like that panel line accent stuff from Mia. Man, I use gallons. I pour that stuff on. It's like that stuff does miracles just by itself.
It does. And so then they got different colors now. I got like all the colors. I find uses for all of them depending on the color of the car.
Yeah, I got like 5 different colors. I've been getting more into that. And again, most of my paint jobs that are weathered or like that, they're usually screwed up shiny paint jobs that I don't like stripping stuff.
Yeah.
So I try to, if I screw the paint up, which happens a lot, trust me, I'm not great miracle painter, but if I screw it up, usually I will either dull it and make a beater out of it, or but I say that, and then this year I bet I stripped 5 cars already this year. It's like I never do that, and this year all of a sudden I'm stripping cars. So I don't know, but yeah, painting is that's everybody's nemesis. It seems like it's always
it is. That's the part. That's the part that I dread during the build. It's either going to be fantastic or it's going to be a calamity.
But like I tell everybody, you can't paint 1 car a year and be good. You got to paint. You got to paint a lot.
You do.
Hey, you got to screw up. Trust me, I screwed up a lot. And I don't paint no spoons. I don't do the spoon deal. I just go straight forward. And I mess up a lot, just like everybody.
Yeah.
But you got to paint a lot to be good at it. You really do. A lot, and you got to paint. I paint with a lot of different mediums, and I use rattle cans like everybody else, and I use some of that can with the R on it, but I won't say the name. It's forbidden to be talked about. But I use a little bit of everything. I'm not afraid to paint anything, and I might screw it up, but I'm not afraid to do it. And you got to paint. If you're gonna learn to paint, you got to paint. You can't paint 1 car a year.
That's right. Like as far as like since you come from the automotive painting world, do you have a particular primer you like to use, or how you go about prepping your cars and primering and wet sanding and everything?
I go in phases. Right now I've been using the Tamiya primer or some other. I don't use too much the automotive primers lately, like the rattle cans that you get. It's like I don't know if the formulas have changed, or like I did have a can of the R primer, the Unforbidden Name primer, and I didn't really care for that. I have a car with a lot of body work that I had really, really nice, and I wanted to take it to NNL East, and I screwed it up, and I had to strip it down to nothing again. But I think with that body work, I'm going to use. I have some epoxy primer. I think on that particular car, I don't do a lot of body work on a lot of cars. just in general in model cars. But I've had a couple where I think I need to use an epoxy primer to kind of seal all that stuff up, especially with some of these slower thinners that people are starting to use a lot of.
Yeah.
I think it had too much time for it to react to what I had going on underneath of it. That's one of the ones I stripped that I was telling you about. All the body. I'm starting from, and it's a bubble top. I wanted to do a bubble top, and that's unusual for me. It's pretty custom, and I don't do a lot of that kind of stuff. But I wanted to have it for NNL East, and I was putting clear on it, and wasn't happening. I had to strip it, so it went back in the box. But
we have those.
Yeah,
have those.
I
have been one, and the Tamiya, I haven't really gotten. I never really ever used Tamiya. I always wanted to, and then I started hearing people kind of like something's different with the Tamiya, and they're not using it now. Everybody's switching to the Mr. Hobby, and I hope to try that out. But what I see about Tamiya and Mr. Hobby, the primer that I've been using for 35 years or so, bouncing around from different brands depending on what I get my hands on, but it's basically the automotive rattle can, like your Dupacolor or Plastic Coat, or there's a couple other brands that if I could get my hands on once in a while I'd use. But it's basically a lacquer primer. I really have had a lot of luck with that. I never thought of using the epoxy primer. I used epoxy primer a lot when I was working in the shops. I mean, because I did all the primering at the custom shop I did and prepping for the painter.
I think Splash sells. I think I have some. I think I got it from Splash.
Oh, really? I'd never tried that.
I don't quote me on that. Don't tell everybody, but
I won't tell anybody.
I think it's Splash that sells. They sell their urethane in the little jars, and I think they also sell an epoxy primer.
That's probably why he recommends to only use his primer with his paints.
His paints are pretty hot. You got to I think he recommends at least 3 coats of primer to seal off stuff.
That makes sense.
I tried a couple of his paints so far, but his do seem to be a little bit on the hot. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just you got to prepare. You got to know
how to do it
going into it. That's a possible thing. But I mean, his paints, I mean, they're very nice paints.
Yeah.
But I've been using since I moved to the South. I'm not near my brother anymore. It's like 8 hours for me to go home. He used to give, he has all PPG products, and I'd get them from him. I do some. He gave me a lot of base coat, clear coats, and cheap stuff. I do shop line or something like that. Nothing real expensive, but he was giving me some waterborne.
Oh, really?
Sprayed some waterborne. So I did some of that, but I've been switching to Splash because I can order them online and I can have them at my door. And he hasn't broken down into little containers. And I actually will measure those out, and I'll maybe get 3 or 4 mixings out of those little containers. I don't mix it all up because I don't want to waste all the material. Yeah. And my method is a little bit different. I like to, get the primer and everything done, and then I put my color on it, whatever lacquer, whatever it is, and then I'll urethane clear coat it a couple coats, and then I'll let that cure and dry, and then I'll wet sand that whole thing, and I'll go back in and then reduce the crap out of another layer of urethane and just flow that on, and then a little bit of sanding and polishing. That's just I've done it. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I know everybody's got their painting. Everybody says, I got problems with paint. This is the can I use. What's my problem? Well, it's like opening up a can of worms. It's like painting is so subjective to what you can't give someone advice until you actually see every step of what they do.
Right.
Where the problem is. And there's so many variables. It could be humidity. It could be, the type of primer, maybe not enough coats, or, it's just, everything is so subjective. I don't usually give a lot of painting advice because it's like opening up a whole can of worms. It's
dangerous area.
is very dangerous area, and especially if the question is very vague. It's hard to give advice to someone that isn't almost every bit of information that you need to look at to try to figure out what they did wrong, and it could be one of many things. It's I think the painting is the big deal for everybody, but there's some good painters out there. I've been going to a bunch of shows, and the paint jobs are.
There's some people that got it figured out.
They got it really figured out. And the older I can't see anymore, and mine look good on photos on Facebook.
Yeah. I have my ups and downs. I've got one model that I painted when I was like probably at my peak of painting, and I really need to finish it because I don't think I could do it. And there's a black one too. And I don't think I could ever pull it off again. I really need to make that model be something I can take to shows because, man, I'm like, every time I look at it, I go, there's no way I did this. Sometimes we have those gems. Are you in North Carolina? You said you moved to the South. Where are you?
I'm in South Carolina. I'm in Rock Hill. I'm right below Charlotte. We're right over the border in South Carolina.
Oh, okay. I know where you're located then. Yeah, you're not far from Mark.
No.
But up north from you, up towards Safford, is Wings, Wheels, and Waves. Michael Guest. Have you ever been to his store?
I don't think so.
That's have you heard of MCW Finishes?
Oh yeah, MCW.
Yeah. That's Michael, and that's his store. He's up in Safford. I mean, you ever want? That's the paint I use a lot, and what I like about his paint, he uses. I believe he told me. I hope I'm not giving something away. He might get mad at me, but he might have said this when I had him on the show. I think he uses PPG products.
He does. I buy a lot from him.
You do? Yeah.
I online. He's been to a couple shows. I wish some of these shows had more painting products.
Yeah.
Don't have a lot of painting products to pick from, but lately I've been buying all my paint almost all online.
Yeah. That's what I do.
All three of those guys, and I just ordered some stuff from Tropical Glitz.
Yeah.
I want to get into some candies, and Black Gold used to sell the House of Color. The paint's just getting so expensive. It's like, so I'm excited to try some of this Tropical Glitz. Paint. I met him at. I just met him at NNL East. His name's Manny. Of course, Manny.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice guy. So I ordered some of their products. I'm gonna give them a try. I've seen a bunch on Facebook where people are using his stuff. So
yeah, that stuff's getting really popular.
I think a lot of the lowrider guys have started to use his. Yeah. Man, these lowrider guys. You talk about.
Oh, man. Yeah, they're over here on really heavy, and especially in the Southern California shows. When we go there, those classes are gigantic, and the cars are just spectacular. The paint jobs are mind blowing.
I don't think, if you haven't tried to paint one, I don't think you realize how hard that is. Like if I'm a judge and I'm giving out a best paint award, it's going to be a lowrider. I guarantee it is. So that's a lot. It's a lot harder to paint a lowrider than it is to paint like a solid color. I mean, some of that stuff is incredible. The detail.
Yeah,
a 1/25th scale model is incredible.
Yeah, some of the stuff they do.
As far as paint, I'm not one for reaching out too far, but I do some stuff, but I'd like to do a little bit more.
And in this day and age too, boy, back, when we talk about when we were really getting heavy into it in the late 80s, the 90s, it was so hard to find good quality paint. And if you did, and back then, I kind of was in and out of the automotive paint business. I would every once in a while get my hands on some, PPG paint or whatever. Usually I would get lacquers, but it was always back then really hard to get small amounts, and it cost so much money. And it's gotten so much easier in all these companies. So we have so many great avenues for painting, plus the hobby paints. I mean, I still like number one is Tamiya for me. I just love the Tamiya paints, and we've got so much different great product now to choose from that it was so difficult 30 years ago.
Well, I've been getting away from the Tamiya paint just because of the selection of like when I pick this is really going to sound weird. When I pick a color for a car, I kind of like to look on what I have built, and I'm looking for a color that I don't have or something.
Yeah.
Like I got a spot up here that, a gold car would look pretty up there. So then I'll go pick out a gold. I'm trying to get away from the black and red. I do a lot of white cars, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to diversify my palette in color. If I'm going to do a rattle can, and I'll use Tamiya, and if it's red or basic colors, but some of the some of the newer blue. I'm an old blue guy. I like the green blues. I don't like these newer violet, more hued blues.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Late 60s GM blues were more on the greenish side.
Yeah.
That is better than the newer blues.
Yeah. When I want to go for that, that's where I like call in on MCW finishes, because I love, first of all, especially the metallics. He's got the metallics, and he also sells lacquers or enamel. So I get his lacquers.
Yeah.
And he does a micro fine metallic, because that's another thing. Getting the metallics to be to scale.
Yeah.
It's really important. But I buy up all those cool bluish greens from the 60s. I love those colors. The factory colors, I racked up on those. I agree with you on that. One color, though, from the early days of me getting into model building, my favorite color, like my first 4 models when I started building, first 4 cars, they were all painted rattle can testers sapphire blue. And I loved that blue so much, and I have tried to find a replacement for it for years. And it had there was a slight green to it. There was a little green in there. It seemed like it kind of leaned more towards that. It was dark, but it had a green to it. And man, I loved that color. But oh boy, man, those tester paints. Holy solvent pop.
We've all been there.
Oh, that, they talk about the Rust-Oleum. That stuff used to blow on so hard and so fast. Just starting out in building, didn't know how to handle myself, and just have that dark bead around the edge of everything. And, pool would pool up over the corner with all that solvent pop.
Yep.
Hey,
did you get any of the MCW brought out? Did you get any of their secret sauce?
I will be soon. I want to try that out.
He was at NNL East, and I got a bottle of it.
Did you get it? Have you had a chance to try it?
I haven't. I'm too busy with this stupid YouTube stuff.
God, I know. God, just get rid of that.
Got to get back. I got a couple cars to paint, so I'm going to be using it. Because I'm like I got like 8 to 10, 15, 20 cars going at one time. So I get distracted very easily. So I got a couple.
Oh boy, yeah.
So I wanna give it a shot. James Tester's big on, not this particular brand, but he's big on using, what's that, Mr. Color?
The Mr. Leveler.
He's big on using that reducer on a lot of this stuff. So I'm curious about that. I've never really been a reducer guy like that, the slower reducer. So I like his paint work and stuff. I looked at his stuff at NNL East, and I really liked what he's doing. And I want to look into spraying more with that instead of using some.
It's pretty good. And I think what Michael, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of, Michael pretty much cracked the code, which, if you know anything about paint formulas and stuff, really everybody knew what it was.
Right.
And it's just a kind of a mid-range reducer that has a retarder in it. And it just helps flow. I mean, that was something we were doing at the body shop, was flowing out cars, especially if we did a blend repair or something, and it's kind of, you go with that and it just flows it out so nice. I've used the Mr. Leveler. It's really great, as it's been called, unicorn tears.
Yeah. I've never used it because, number one, I can never find it anywhere.
It's hard to get a hold
of. So having something over here in the States that and it's a good sized bottle.
Yeah. It's actually a better deal. I'm definitely going to get some because it's so hard to get a hold of. Yeah, that's a great size. Yeah, it's a nice size bottle.
That's a pretty good sized bottle.
Yeah.
Here's so you can compare the size. There's some glue.
Yeah, that is well, I didn't think it was that big. Holy cow!
Yeah,
I'm going to be probably because I'm getting low on my my the leveler, Mr. Hobby Leveler, whatever they call it, Leveler 400. I don't know.
It is very reasonably priced. I was
oh yeah
on the price. I don't know if James is going to try it. I'd like to know his opinion on it because I know he's really into the leveler thinners. But Marco Cruz did a lot of development with him. Well, I guess I think MCW had a couple builders, a couple painters give their of it. And Marcos is, a friend of mine too, and from the Mama's Boys. It came highly recommended from him, and he's another incredible painter. So, I trust the judgment of some of these guys that know it, have been pretty good painters and familiar with that stuff. So I'd like to give it a try and see what, see if I can screw something up with it.
Yeah, definitely. It would be really interesting to see someone to do the Pepsi challenge with the Mr. Leveler and Michael stuff, because I pretty much think you're probably going to get the same effect, and it's definitely I'd rather buy from him. So I'll probably get some of that. I want to try that out.
Well, if I post a picture of a car and I say I just used it and it's flat, it's not shiny, it's flat, it went bad. That's always plan B.
Yeah, definitely. So you want to just give any information out on plug your channel? I'll give you a little opportunity to plug your channel. I know you kind of already talked about it, but I'll put you in the front here and you can just talk about that, where people can find you.
Well, I'm Arterake.com. On Facebook, I'm going to have, pretty soon I'll have my shop cards, and I'm going to get some bingo chips, the poker chips to hand out at a couple shows. I'm pretty much going to do what everybody else does. My videos are going to be a little bit different from everybody else's. I want to do a lot of how-tos, but like simple how-tos. I want to give everybody, no matter what level you're at, how-tos that you can do to do little simple things to just improve the overall look of whatever you're building, no matter, how complicated or how simple it is, because that's just the way my style is. And I'm flattered that people have, really responded to my channel. I never thought it would be like that. I figured it'd be a slow, long road. And, I was prepared for that. So, I was happy when I set the bar low, so no expectations. I was happy. I got 5 subscribers. I was happy.
Man. And look at what happened. But I think you hit it right with that. The thumbnail definitely grabbed attention, but it was a good video. That's
Manny.
Everybody, geez, I need to go buy a Manny. I'll tell you, I need all the help I can get.
I don't know. If I lose Manny, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be
boy. Try to learn off of him.
Some basic.
Yeah. Well, Irv, I'm really glad you came on. Fun talking. Love hearing, everybody's take from the hobby, and especially for as long as you've been around in it. Yeah, we got some similar ways of thinking there. That's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with that channel of yours. I think you got some good things coming, and definitely look forward to probably bumping into you at the Acme show in 26. I am like, I have to go to that one because I can't make it this year, and I haven't been since 21, and I'm jonesing because it changed my life when I went in 21, and I haven't got to see it since they moved and everything. It's just become I think that is the show now in the whole country, man. It's just, everybody goes to it, and it's so much fun. And
that's going to be it's kind of my local big show.
Yeah, definitely. You're not far from it.
Yeah.
And
I like NNL East because I have a lot of northern friends that but a lot of the older Mama's Boys, they're done traveling. They're not traveling anymore. So sometimes they'll go to that show. I'll see them there more than I will down south.
Yeah.
But
it's the other one I want to get to.
Ohio again too. I wanted to go to the Buckeye this year, but I got sick, and I was the night before, and it just didn't work out. So I want to get back up there to see some of those Ohio guys.
That show is really becoming something of importance. It's definitely a lot of great builders go to that one. Make sure they go to that. So that one's taking off pretty good too. Took off. So yeah, it's definitely like, compared to out here. There's only just a few shows, and they're all so far away from one another. Over in that side of the country, there's so many of them. And I used to live over there, and I know what it's like. I miss it. I want to end up back there one day. Irvin, I am really glad you came on. This was a lot of fun, and I'm sure, we'll have to talk later, maybe do some collabs or some videos together or whatever. And that's a fun part of the YouTube community. I love working with other YouTubers and doing stuff with them. So as I tell every guest that comes on the show, I kind of put them kind of in the spot where I have them say my call off ending the show. I don't know if you watch my channel much or know what to say at the end, but do you think you can handle it? You want to try it out?
I'll give it a try. I've screwed up worse.
Okay, go for it.
Keep gluing your fingers together and keep cutting that stuff.
Oh, look at that. Look at everybody who's been on the show. Look at that. He brought it. You're the first one to bring a visual. You brought a prop. That's right. Oh, man. Thanks a bunch. That was a lot of fun. And everybody, be sure. I got at the end of the video, there's a link to his channel to sub and a link to his video, his first video. Check it out if you haven't. It's really good stuff. You guys will really like it. And thank you all for coming in and checking it out and watching. And now it's time. Here's the producers.